Hello, everybody. My apologies for being 3 minutes late. We had a little bit of a tech issue once again. I love you, Mercury retrograde, but please come back, Mercury, please. Oh, and I always check calendars too for this kind of astrological stuff to hold large events like this, but it's okay. We are determined to heal this planet by building healing sanctuaries with the wisdom of nature. So welcome all of you. Welcome. This is our, oh my goodness, it's our seventh. Thank you, Emmanuel, our helper soul. Thank you. Yes, goes direct on September 15th. Woo! Okay, so great to have you all join from different parts of the globe to hear from the world's leading energetic design experts. My name is Aisha Rose Melodie Hassan, and I am your host for this series. I am an architect, alchemical healer, and the creator of the Sacred Blueprint, a cutting-edge vessel of courses and programs for women architects and designers, as well as property owners and land stewards, to help birth their dream sanctuaries through a new modality that bridges spirit with architecture. So this series is a response to a call I've been hearing on very high volume from Gaia and the nature spirits. They gave me a big kick in the butt to quit my job in conventional practice to pave a new way for the future architecture in partnership with the spirit of the land. And so this series is about exploring the abundance, the magic, the beauty that is possible when we build healing sanctuaries with the wisdom of nature. And it's also about exploring what's possible in our own design practices and how this way paves the way for easeful, joyful, smooth project planning. So whether these sanctuaries are your homes, your gardens, communities you may be envisioning, or even master plans for the city, the question is, how can we partner with nature's energies in a conscious and practical way that will, help you to attract the most amazing clients, the most amazing projects, as well as lay nourishing foundations for our new earth. All of our incredible guest speakers who have been and will answer this question, and they will also share their years of wisdom and expertise in the field of energetic design. So before I introduce our next guest, I'd love to thank Geometric Models for aligning with the impulse of the Sacred Blueprint and sponsoring our event again. It is such an honor to be collaborating with this superb research group who is dedicated to the investigation of Mother Nature's sacred geometries. If you're interested in sacred geometry, modeling, and design, then please don't forget to check out their website at geometricmodels.org for educational tools. So a couple logistics. You have received your login information to access the limited time recordings of this interview series. We do not include the bonus Q&A section in the videos. So make sure you join live. Tomorrow's our last session to benefit from the Q&A session at the end. We are opening up the chat for the entire interview. Introduce who you are, what do you do, where are you from, and share your ahas, your takeaways, what inspires you, as well as send over your questions. I prefer that you hold your questions until the end because sometimes it's hard for me or my assistant to scroll all the way back to the previous comments. So best to hold them towards the end. I also sent you a welcome email when you first signed up for this series. In that welcome email, there is a video where I ask a very specific question, and I want you to answer that question by replying to that email. I look forward to hearing your answer. I think we're good. So now for our next guest. She is an energy and space alchemist and founder of Rose Alchemy. She is an expert in clearing imbalances and residual stories of the past within people's homes or workplaces and properties. She is a house healer. She is a space clearer. And she is really an expert in working with opening up a heart-centered energy field within the space, within your own being, and your families or your relationships, to open up an abundant future potential for life, love, and prosperity. She's going to share a bit about her story of how she's come to develop this unique modality. And she's also going to maybe share some wisdom from the roses. She taps into the energy of roses, and I can't wait to hear what's going to stream through organically today. So I'm so happy to have Sandy Humby join our circle again. Welcome, Sandy. Yay, you did it.
You wouldn't believe the technology issues. So I'm on my phone. I've never had to do something like this on my phone before, but my computer will not open up Zoom. And of course, my phone isn't fully charged. So I've been faffing around trying to get the charge in on my phone.
That's great. Did you manage to put the charge in? We can always take a break. That's no problem for you. Yeah.
Do you know how much, when we do things like this, we endeavor to come in our best version of self.
Yeah.
So I'm really amused by the Mercury retrograde and the challenge that's being placed in my direction today, well, and yours. So yes, thank you. I mean, it's lovely to be back in conversation with you, Aisha, because we've always had such rich conversations and sharing in previous opportunities for me to be present here, and it's always a gift to come in to commune with others who are interested in the sacredness of space and this phenomenal time that we're working through, which is opening each and every one of us up to really review what sanctuary is for us, and the power of sanctuary in these uncertain times. So I think it's a bit of a double whammy, the fact that the more we open to connect with Gaia, the more we open to connect with Mother Earth, the more we come home to ourselves. But of course, in that recognition of shift within ourselves, our spaces have got to change as well, because the space is a direct relationship. It's a mirror of our consciousness. Yeah. And so therefore, the more we come home on this sacred journey to ourselves, the more essential it is that we have aligned spaces that really nourish us on every level. So it's always beautiful to come in and share with you on this topic, because it's sort of the weave of what I do. As you say, I'm the founder of Rose Alchemy. The calling of the rose was so loud in 2010 that it took me out on a journey to meet with the Sacred Heart of Rose in rose gardens around the world, having that sort of illuminated and started for me from the Alhambra in Granada. And I ended up there in 2010, having no idea that this was going to unfold. But I knew that the energy of the Alhambra was calling me. So here we come into a sacred landscape and the architecture of the Alhambra and the connection to the Sufi mystics and the wisdom keepers that is embedded in every script, in that repeating pattern that holds the framework of space. So, and the Alhambra called, it had been on my wish list on the wall in the office. And there were only two places. That was the Alhambra and Rosslyn Chapel that were calling really loud. But no, this has been an ongoing journey for me, because I had 18 years of couture wedding dress designer. So creating beauty and form. And one of the last wedding dress collections I made, I designed from the art and architecture of Venice. So I took the piazzas, I took the geometries of the churches like Santa Maria della Salute, an 8-sectioned church that was designed by Longena. And, I made an 8-paneled silk Duchess satin dress with grey silk velvet to match the dome on the top of Della Salute, and Murano glass beads for the sort of Catherine wheels that were on the top. So I was taking 3-dimensional art form and taking it onto the body. So there was a frequency alignment to the geometry and the qualities of the architecture. What was the architecture speaking to the heart? I did a dress that was San Marco. It was
San Marco Square.
Yeah. So I did one that was Piazza, that was the square with the draped curtains around the cafes all around the square. And I did one with the St. Mark's and the San Marco, and I sourced silk samite, because that was the silk that Venice was known for. And so you look at these elements. I went off to Murano to get the glass beads to go on there. It worked with the Reredos which is the Palladoro that's in St. Mark's. That was another dress. So there's always been a fascination for me with even making wedding dresses about form, beauty and form. And I've always been reminded that, it doesn't matter how old a piece is or a property is, if it's created with beauty in its proportion and its combination of substance, like stone and wood and so on, how that's put together has an effect on our hearts, just in the same way that the way I put the dresses together spoke to those that resonated with the frequency of what I was creating. And we come back to frequency time and time again. At the point of me closing the point of me having this last wedding dress shop, and I had two. I had shops in Romsey in Hampshire and Winchester in the UK that was specialist, and I often worked with antique French textile because I've got a connection back into the French court. So there were, what we play out in our lives, where we take our lives, has such a resonance to the soul story that we're walking on our pathway here. Anyway, I came towards the end of my journey with making the dresses, and you do get a little bit frocked out at the end of this. You're dealing with Bridezilla, and you're dealing, you're dealing with
melodramatic people, right? Like, I've changed my mind.
Or I've had a dream. Please comfort me. I've had a dream that I'm walking naked up the aisle. Is my dress real? Have you really got it here? Anyway, there was lots of wonderful things about that whole process.
Yeah.
But I knew that, the time was closing on that chapter of my life. And, we know that our lives often have very different chapters. And I'd always been fascinated by interiors. I'd always done the interiors to my shops, and they were always full of quirky antiques and, because obviously the dresses were not, you know, normal. Really, they were, you know, very creative expressions. And the last shop I moved into was an 1860s building on 3 floors, and I had my fabrics in the basement, our collection and retail area on the ground floor, and then I had workrooms and my team working up on the top floor. And we hadn't long been in this property, and nobody would go into the basement. They'd wait till I was in the shop, and they'd say, "Sandy, do you think you could go and pick up so and so's fabric? Because you know, while you're down there, you know." And then we'd start getting things moving along the rails, and the doorbell would go, and I had an old-fashioned sprung doorbell, and it's like nothing could trip that. It had to be a physical movement. And I went down and stood in the basement one day, and I'd been training, I'd worked in energy healing since 93. I started with Reiki in 93 and had a full body Christed experience in 1993 too, which sort of activated another aspect of me. So, and I could feel this male energy in the basement, and we worked with women and for women, and my team were all women. So it was very definite. And communication with him, I understood that he died of emphysema, and he'd come back to look after didn't want to leave his wife. And I thought that was interesting because we were a wedding dress shop. And that was my first experience of spirit release, of tuning in and connecting in with the heart trauma, because spirit energies, I've come to understand over the years, are caught because of trauma in the heart field. And it's one of the aspects of the work that I have become known for now in working with space alchemy, in the fact that I've become quite adept at spirit communication and sacred witnessing, because spirit energies had a soul, an experience just like you or I. It's just at the time of passing, there is such significant heart trauma in the field that hasn't been resolved, that a fragment of the soul goes back to where the trauma happened for resolution. Doesn't stay where it passes, goes back to where the trauma happened. So that was my first education in working with spaces. And so when I closed my wedding dress shop, I went off to KRC in Chelsea Harbour in London and trained in interiors. And I specialized in creating sanctuary spaces for the soul. And actually, bathrooms are one of my main expressions, really. But then, of course, I'd always get the ensuite to go with it, because you know, because then you was
the bedroom, yeah,
because you were creating a particular feeling for somebody, and there, you know, the two needed to connect. Anyway, it was an interesting time, that's for sure. And what it started me in understanding was the psychology of our spaces, and where we're comfortable with somebody seeing us. You know, where we're comfortable in the hallway, we're comfortable in the sitting room, we're comfortable in the kitchen. These are communal spaces, right. And we usually put on the walls, you know, things that we perhaps gathered from our travels, favorite artifacts, and things like that. But once you start looking at bedrooms and en suites, you're really into somebody's private inner world. So it became really fascinating, because, as I say, my fascination was with energy healing. So right. I was training, and I had by then trained in pranic healing, pranic psychotherapy. There was once you open that can of worms, you're a bit like a kid in a candy store, because there's so much choice as to, you know, do I look at homeopathy? Do I look at, you know, where do I go with this?
What's the path? Yeah, what's the path?
And again, the other interesting thing is, I believe that we are drawn, those of us that are drawn to the healing arts are actually drawn to modalities that we've worked in previous lifetimes. There's a familiarity that takes us in on that pathway. And I remember looking at the picture of the pranic healing master I trained with, Master Cherakoksui, and thinking, I know you. I recognize you from, there was an Egyptian
from
thing
another
in the bottom.
school. From another school in the past.
Yes, absolutely. So, the pathway developed, and I started working with little units called environmental harmonizers. So in the certainly from 2001 to 2006, that was where I was working. So I was dowsing the light grid of the property and seeing where there were breaks in the light grid that I could plug with one of these little harmonizer units. And I would feel the expansion move through my body and out through my back heart chakra and through the property. It was like the whole place woke up and shifted in frequency. So it's been an ongoing development. I think work in progress, I think is the right word.
Love it. Oh, Sandy. Well, whew, it just streamed through you right now. I'm just the energy, just like the words and the share. It sounds like so much is now integrating and coming together for you, like anchoring like it hasn't before. That's what I'm feeling from you. And I didn't know about the piazzas and brought the architecture of the piazzas into your wedding gowns. The design of the gowns, it's like it's wild. That is wild. Of course, it makes even more sense now that of course Alhambra, of course the architecture, of course, the form and beauty, and of course it requires the depth of your mystical journey, right? The energetic aspect and the Reiki and the pranic healing and weaving all of that in. I mean, the piazzas, right, Sandy, are vehicles really to either uplift or communicate a higher consciousness of some kind. And the master builders, they would know how to do this, right? There were sacred proportions, there were ingredients that were involved in creating these structures. But I just love how you brought that energetic into your gowns, and then next step into interiors, and still continuing to do so, and into your land healing and house healing work. Of course you do. I know you do offices and all kinds of buildings as well. Sandy, I would love to hear, I mean, you start to touch on what you gave us a window into one of the healing work you did on a property when you tapped into the light grid and, inserted one of these instruments of some kind into it. Can you share a bit about your process, how you've developed your own unique modality to open up that heart space, that open up the way for abundance and love? And what do you say? I love the way you say it. It's like the best, their best future, right? Their best potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a house is like a relationship. So when we go to buy a house or to rent a house, we go to a number of different properties that might have, might be in the same area. They might have the same sort of square footage. But, there may be one that we stand outside of and we go, this is it. Well, how do we know that? So for me, what I've come to understand is that we have a spectrum of vibration within us that holds the conscious and the unconscious story of our soul journey here this lifetime. And a space has got exactly the same, providing it's got a heart a heart note that is active within it, it will have a spectrum of vibration. And it's that dances with us. So we will walk in and we will go, nah, get me out of here. This is not for me. Right. And then we will have other places where that we will walk in and we'll go, well, actually, this feels really good. This feels like it could be home. So what is that home piece? What is the piece that syncs with us, that goes, okay, I can come in here and my energy fields can unpack. I can let go of the armoring. I can come home. You know, we're all on a journey of sacred homecoming, aren't we? Whether it's coming home to here, or whether it's coming home to a space that truly feels like home. This is where I belong. I belong in this space. I belong connected to this frequency of land. And the land piece is really interesting. You know, over the last 5 or 6 years, I guess, I've become very aware of the Earth Star, the chakra system extended down to the Earth Star and up to the Soul Star, down to the Gaia Gateway, up to the Stellar Gateway. We are changing in our understanding of our connection between heaven and earth, and how we bridge that, how we as individuals are acupuncture points of light to bridge these two levels, right? So the clearer we are and the more aligned in ourselves, the easier the flow, the easier the connection. But our Earth stars hold our personal incarnational script for our physicality and where we are on the planet. And as I see the Earth star, it's like a docking station. It docks into the crystalline grids of the Earth. And we have a dialogue. If we are consciously present in our bodies, and actually part of the pathway of, if we're looking at this ascension piece as a terminology, the essential piece of that is descension. I've spent a lot of my life not wanting to be in body. I've spent a lot of my life trying to get out.
Going up that way, right?
Yeah. I started at a philosophy school for 3 years in 1993 to get out of my body with meditation, right? But actually, if you look at anything like the Magdalene and the Way of the Rose, it is embodiment. She's calling us 100% physical, 100% spiritual. So if we can hold this sense of presence in our bodies, a full sense of presence to everything that unfolds in the moment, time and time again, we will have a strong connection between our base and second chakra, that is our tribe, and what Jung would have called the individuation. Who am I inside this tribe? And our anchor point into the Earth Star. The Earth Star dialogues with the crystalline grids, the Hartmann and the Curry grids, and the other grid lines that are very active in the Earth. And it will tell us what our dialogue is with the Earth. Do I feel at home in this location? Where I currently am, do I feel like I'm meant to be here? And same thing with houses. People are getting nudged to move because they've completed what they've been called to do.
The cycle. Yeah.
With that particular frequency of the Earth. And so the important thing with the Earth Star is that we need to be somewhere that is at least calibrating at 70% alignment. Otherwise, it's a life diminishing environment, regardless of what we do to it. We can make the most amazing, pretty, lovely, nourishing house, but if it's not on a piece of land that we are in harmony with, or if there is negative energy on the land or in the grids that needs to be cleared, we will either expand into life or we will contract, and our energy fields contract automatically. We don't have to go, please contract. They automatically do it. And if we stay in a place where our energy fields are in contraction over time, we will get sick. It really isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
Because there is, when the energy fields come in, there is very little room for the chi to move around in the energy field of the body. And so if there is a latent seed of potentiality, which we may have taken down through our ancestral line, the movement of the chi, as it can move over this contracted energy field, creates heat. And the heat creates the inflammation.
Just got this kind of feeling of like the rubbing.
Yeah.
Aggravation or
And what that does is it enables the seed, the impotential, to activate in the human body. So, you know, being somewhere where our energy fields are supported and expanded is really important. So the primary thing before you build anything is, what is my relationship to this piece of land? Is this piece of land supporting me as a visionary, heart-centered activator in this blossoming of new earth? Or is this land going to teach me the lesson of discernment as to where I need to be?
Wow.
So, you know, it's the key piece. You know, and, you know, so many opportunities are there for us to really not try to override what's going on, but to ask the question. Always ask the question, you know, as you stand on that piece of land to start with, can you feel your energy centering and connecting in with your earth star and the earth grids? How does that feel? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel contractive? There's your first clue. And, you know, if it is contractive, it's not definitely a no-no. It might be telling you that there's work to do, that the space, the land needs to be cleared.
Yeah.
You know? So I've had several jobs recently where it's been a really fascinating story. I get consultations in groups. They come in little batches, I found.
But are you consulting everyone individually, like separate clients? But they come in just as in,
no, they come in
almost
separately.
like a constellation is coming in for you.
Yeah, a theme. So in the last month, last 6 weeks, I've had a job with two architects in Florida, where I was. But I'll tell you the places, and then you can get where the theme connects. And then I had a job in Nova Scotia, and then I had a job come up in California, in Topanga, and then I had a job come up in Colorado, and then I had a job come up in Africa, Malawi, I think. And they all had theme that was connected to, so the client, you know, wanted my work for their space, whether to sell it or whether to make it a much happier, harmonic family home. And they've all had stuck spirit energy within them. But in each case, the client has been prepared to stretch beyond that and to work to clear the stuck spirits within a 3-mile radius of their property. And what has been interesting is that it's led me to a lot of research with every job, because I knew that I was connecting in with the native peoples. I've been connecting in with the Micmac, I've been connecting in with the Tequesta, the Arapaho. It's been really fascinating. And obviously in Africa, there is a Sangoma patterning on the land that hasn't always been helpful. So what I've done with each of them is that we have identified on the land where the right node point is, where the crossing of the grids are that are correct, And each and every one of them has gone on the land and created a mandala with leaves and crystals. And, you know, I've had fascinating things like, you know, speaking to the client, and I'm saying,
synchronistic things
yeah,
you're talking
yeah,
about, right? Yeah, yeah.
That I've been saying, you know, and I'm going to use it, and because I make the mandala here as well. I do a mandala with roses here, and I create a chimney that I program for 72 hours that allows for spirits in the stuck souls in
Release
3 mile radius that have a chimney that by proxy is on the location of the property. I just activate it and close it from here. But I use extractor crystals that are specifically cut to draw energy up like a chimney.
like, yeah, stack effect.
Yeah. And so what we've been doing is greater earth service. And I think, you know, you and I have spoken about this before, because Mother Earth doesn't want this density. No. You know, in her activation to hold this 5th dimensional template, the trauma field needs to be released. Now, if you look at the number of people that are speaking of trauma now, it's not just Dr. Gabor Mate or Peter Levine. Their trauma has, and the work with the vagus nerve and so on within all of us, for us to release these stories that we brought in through the ancestral lines. Yeah. Well, a house is the same. We're releasing the trauma that's locked in at a cellular level through the water in the walls. Yeah. You know, if you look at Emoto's work, if you look at Veda Austin's work, you're looking at how the memory of trauma is held in the water. Our walls would be dust, yeah, if they didn't have at least a small water.
There's water in our walls. There's water in the molecules. There's water in the wood on the floor. Yeah.
And the water in our bodies. Yeah. The water in our bodies holds the trauma within us at a cellular level, which is always why, it's a bit sad really, but it's always why I know that if I'm working with somebody and she cries or he cries, that it's moving it at a cellular level. It's being released on the tears.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, great.
Yes, resolved.
Yeah, it's moving through. Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, so there is a conscious awareness with the people that are drawn to my work, that there is an opportunity to work. I mean, I did another job actually in Grasse in France a few weeks back, and again the client was so wanting to be of service to her community. Yeah,
there's a bigger picture there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just me.
Yeah,
and my
like
life.
Where to put what color is my wall? You know, where's the garage? Right? It's these you seem to be calling in these visionaries. And actually, I'm just thinking how beautiful. You use the word proxy, right? These mandalas, and then you have the one that you've created to open and close it, activate it, deactivate it. You're putting a lot of conscious, safe work into the process.
It has to be contained. Otherwise you end up, you know, it's like I've known some people that have had houses that are on a pathway to the gallows, right? That the house is being built on the pathway to the gallows. And there's a constant movement. It's the same as a house that I worked on years and years ago in New Jersey. Is a good number of years ago now. An in-person work, because most of my work was in person until 5 years ago.
Back then, and now everybody's doing it online.
Exactly. And that was on a Lenape trail, and you know, there was still a deer trail running through the garden, but it was on a sacred sacred site. Well, if it's on a sacred site, it's still going to be active unless somebody deactivates it. So the mandalas, and 72 hours seems to be the correct timing at this moment. That's all I'm being shown at this
That's what
moment.
you're tuning into. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I activate it with the clear intent and with the invitation held within that 3 miles.
Yeah.
Any soul, any stuck soul that wants to release at this point, to move towards this chimney of light.
Yeah. Sandy, when you said 72 hours, that's 3 days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As you know, I've studied Rudolf Steiner a lot, and I remember something about, I don't know if it was through the anthroposophic community that I learned this, because our culture is Muslim, and so the death process is different. I mean, I'm not a practicing Muslim, but that's my family's, yeah. My father is half Turkish, half German. Do you leave the casket open for 3 days before it gets closed in the Christian culture?
Not here. No.
I just remember is there something that I've heard of that there's a certain amount of time for allowing the spirit to release. Remember something about 3 days, or you have the cremation, so you have the element of fire, which is what a lot of the anthroposophists do. Because of the element of fire, it helps to allow the spirit to fully pass. But okay, so maybe that was something that I didn't.
But, you know, was it not that Christ was in the cave for 3 days?
You know, yeah. So there's something about the 3. There's something about the 3.
You know, absolutely, that's what Spirit gave me. That was the time frame of the window. It was not to be left any longer than that, and it had to be very clear that as the invitation got broadcast, because in my experience, spirit fragments that are stuck can't release themselves. They've come back for resolution, so they need to be witnessed. Lovingly and compassionately witnessed through the heart. And yes, I use techniques to assist that process. Once they've been witnessed, once they've told, and I usually get a date. Sometimes I will get a name. I'm not clairvoyant. I'm clairaudient and clairsentient. So it comes in as a knowing, and if I tune my inner radio dial down correctly, I can have a dialogue to understand what the wound was that got the soul stuck. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
It's amazing. Well, I just want to share some of the chat things. That dances with us, something, I guess there was something related to what you were talking about. You used the word dance here. Oh my God, this collection sounds phenomenal. This is related to the gowns. The symbolism and mindfulness is so beautiful. Another one's, wow, oh my, oh, everybody's amazing. And then a final comment here from this last string of conversation. And I believe in Jewish faith, you sit Shiva for 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something about it. So, and and it's great that you're also saying that for now, that's what you've received as instructions, and it could change in the future as well.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, this is just, wow. I feel like this is just so inspiring for other women architects and designers to hear, like, what's possible, how you've changed, or rather how you are running now your own consulting business, serving the world, serving missionaries who are committed to build the new earth, or maybe later are discovering that that's in some way, shape, or form their path. And it sounds like you're working with clients that you love to work with. I mean, I'm sure there's some challenges here and there because you're working with some deep shadow work, and maybe there's triggers, and maybe people get scared, but I mean, you're glowing as you're speaking, and it's it's just so inspiring to hear, Sandy, the level
Thanks.
at which you are serving this world by building the beauty, through this spiritual, mystical path. Yeah.
It's, I mean, it has just been, you know, just being present to every step. What is, you know, what's calling, what is calling. And I think, you know, I think when we last spoke, I'd not long moved house, and that was, you know, for purpose too. I've you know, I've moved right onto the edge of Avalon here in Somerset, specifically to do
Earth Star. Yeah.
exactly. Specifically to do some work with an energy center here called Borough Mump, which is on the Michael Mary line, and it's one of the most powerful of the energy nodes in this area. And that is, it's leading me back to Rosslyn. I'm going back to Rosslyn again in pretty short time. That there is something here that is activating. I mean, that was the other interesting thing, going to Borough Mump and just standing there and tuning into the energy, because I was asked to do that, and hearing this communication from this group of energies who called themselves elemental rose dragons. They said that there was, you know, they'd come with the to really bring conscious awareness to earth, air, fire, and water, and obviously ether, that connection, that inner connection with ether.
Yeah.
But how important it is for us within our spaces to have this elemental balance right. And that's taken me on all sorts of wild trips, I have to tell you, because not only did I have the elemental rose dragons, but I also had a group of 13 celestial rose dragons that came forward, that are 12 around the one, and they're activating at this point. So it's pretty full on here, but they're really calling us to be fully present to the fact that this vehicle is made up of the elements of the earth. We are earth, air, fire, and water, this vessel, and it is a carrier, a vessel to hold our spirit and soul energy, and for us to live from this heart-centered place. But these energies must be balanced. You know, the earth and the water sit within us, within the Ida stream of consciousness through the body, and the fire and the air of the Pingala. You know, we're activating at different levels. And this is enabling us to bring balance, and it's being able to look at this sacred marriage within, this weave of these two energies within, these currents of energies. So what do we need to bring in our spaces that you know? And part of the journey with this is it's taken me back into connecting with astrology, which I trained in, not to an astrologer level, some years ago. But I mean, it's like I'm all air and water, right? I'm just like, whoa, all over the place. And I need to have fire and a real sense of earth in my space to bring balance. Yeah. I need the candles. I need the wood burner.
The wood burner. Yeah.
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 So again, there are lots of different ways in which we can refine and align our space for ourselves if we understand our basic elemental makeup. You know,
this is so landing, Sandy, for me. During our house construction, we're in the middle of a house construction right now, and I'm in a construction site right now, and this house was built by my husband in structure, without it being fit, but the structure of it was built by him and his father and his brother. Concrete structure, like basically it looks just like a cube. Okay. Yeah. And I'm someone who's watery, fiery, there's some air too. there is some earth too, but it's more water, more fire. And when I'm looking at it, my water and fire side is like, what is this boring box, right? What is this boring cube? We need to bring some curves in. We need to bring some life into this thing. And I am on the interior, but the corners, the solidity of it, Sandy, it's concrete, not the best material in terms of ecological, but it's thick walls, it's grounding. The foundation is very solid, and I feel really good in it. I feel really good. So it's a great example. It really landed for me what you were sharing. It really is the sacred art, isn't it? To balance these elements and to listen to the beings that are really behind these elements.
Definitely. And you know, in my communication with the elemental rose dragons, you know, they said that we have to be foundated. We have to have our foundation right, and this sacred honoring of Gaia and the divine feminine, and you know, that by connecting and be, you know, walking in nature and seeing the rivers, seeing the air through the trees, and understanding the dynamic that and the wisdom that Gaia offers us enables us to see life in a completely different way. And I you know, I think that this way shows us to a different vision for a sense of being vision holders for New Earth, because we have to get back to the garden. We have to get back to this sense of the sacredness of the feminine and the sacredness of the earth. She provides everything for us, everything. And therefore, when we start to weave and become conscious co-creators and be that acupuncture point of light, so that we bring this sense of the divine into our presence here on the earth, when we can live from that place. I mean, the celestial rose dragons that I'm bringing through at the moment are just almost iridescent streams of light that are just illuminators. They're illuminators for the qualities of the divine that want to embed in us at cellular level, so that we can live with right purpose. We can approach our lives, we can approach each other with kindness, with compassion, you know, with a sense of strength and purity in how we interact. But that requires us to be present in body. And that you know, this is what they said, you know, this is, you know, you have to turn the dot and become fully here, fully present to all of it, not selected bits.
Oh, this is so beautiful, Sandy. And I'm just feeling called to say thank you to the dragons, the rose dragons, and what they're bringing to you, and how you are imparting and transmitting their message to us right now. I'm also feeling called, before we open up the Q&A session, for you to pull some cards. Do you have any cards close by? So I don't have the book, so I don't have the deck. Yeah, if you need to go get it, it's, oh, you got the, yeah, they're right there. Of course, they're right with you. So I've got Sandy's Rose Oracle deck. It is super, super powerful. Sandy or Zoe, can you see if you can find a link to Sandy's Rose Oracle? Is it correct, the Rose Oracle deck?
It's the Rose Oracle for the Heart.
Yeah, Rose Oracle for the Heart deck. Yes, so that's the one I have. Everyone, I highly recommend you purchase this deck. They're still available, right, Sandy?
Yeah, they're on my website.
Yeah, and I think it's a great portal to get to know Sandy as well, and all of her work. But these cards are extremely powerful, and They have guided me through questions I've had to answer that have illuminated my path on my own divine awakening, the feminine in me, the awakening of the divine feminine within me. And it's been integral to leading my business. It's been integral. They have been integral to designing, creating beautiful spaces for my clients, as well as leading this movement. And there's a lot of stuff, women, that it gets in the way, icky, gucky, mucky crap stuff.
It's interesting to, you know, for going back years now, that I was working remotely with an architect in Manhattan. I was working with him for nearly a year, and doing dowsing and activating the different projects that he was actively engaged with. And he and his wife used to go and make sure that they brought roses whenever they had a client meeting. They would buy roses and put on the table, because what they knew was that the rose is just pure love, and she just speaks to the heart. She holds the geometry of the golden mean. So she's pentagram, right? Rose is open with 5 sepals. She's pentagram, which embodies the golden mean, but the rose and her frequency speak to the heart. And so she knew that they would have another level of conversation when the client came for the client meetings. But also to say that come the end of the year, all of the 18 roses that are part of the rose dragons, the elemental and the celestial rose dragons, will be printed. At the moment,
so is this a draft? Is this a draft?
This is a draft. This is the.
So they're going to be square.
They're going to be square. That's the guidance: earth, air, fire, water, and ether.
Ooh.
But you know what they do is work on plans. You know, if you've got plans,
plan for my house or something. Yeah, or anybody.
Yeah. But if you put these in a pentagram grid on the plans, they will balance the elements on the thing.
Everybody's so excited. So Andy, I'll let you lead in terms of pulling, but in terms of a question that I have, and I know that a lot of the women in the community, in our community, have, you know, there's a lot of fear of being visible, taking this next step. There's a quote unquote recession. There are a lot of women who are scared to take this next step into bridging spirit with design and into actually speaking their truth, speaking their magic. So I'll set that as a context, whatever, at least for me, whatever else is coming through for you. And if anybody else has any intuitions right now that are streaming through, please share in the comments, and that will be added to the energetic field prior to this pulling of cards.
You know, what I would say in my experience and understanding what this time is about, this time really is about the reactivation of the divine feminine, this feminine aspect of Christ consciousness, if you like. And within that, it opens us up to the qualities of the feminine. That's not to diminish the qualities of the masculine, which, you know, as you were describing your home and the piece that your husband brought, that has form and it has structure, right?
Boundaries.
But the woman, the female, the feminine, whether that's in men and women, and you see a lot of gay men who have got a very strong feminine side, who are often designers, right? They do a lot of interior design work because they're in touch with that sense of softness, of intuition, of inner knowing, of the need for sanctuary. And for me, when you walk into your house should wrap its arms around you, and you should feel safe. You should feel nourished, you should feel inspired, and you should feel energized to go back out into the world truly who you are. And it was one of the things that was most fascinating about doing the bathroom design, in the fact that the bathroom is where we truly are naked, right? We take off the day, we put on the makeup, we wash off the day, and it is this place of coming home to self. And if we aren't, it's authentic within ourselves. And I think this is what the piece is for your, the designers and the people that are bridging this much more linear, old paradigm of architecture, and those that want to come in and speak to a different aspect of intuitive sense. The intuitive designer, the one whose gut feeling is that really needs to shift, and having the courage to know that actually when you hold the frequency, you will have clients come to you that will work with you at that level, and you have got to be the one to make that move. It's like me, working with this level of space clearing. I'm not normal anyway. I'm not a normal space clearer.
Yeah.
I'm working at where the soul wants to go. What is actually there's a video on YouTube that I did with Pam Gregory, the astrologer.
I watched that. It's a really good one, everyone. Yeah, super to hear a story about the land healing process.
And
yeah,
I think it's had 41,000 views.
So of course, Pam is huge too. She's amazing. I started following her too. I love her precision with astrology.
Yes. Yeah, she is amazing.
Amazing.
Watch
that. Okay, so
it is about the soul story. This, having our home built, having our home redesigned, interior design. It's all about the soul story. Wow. So these roses never cease to amaze me. So the rose that's come forward is Master Rose 3. This is the rose of sacred union.
Oh wait,
this is the rose that actually speaks to the weave of the masculine and feminine, and how that births the divine child, if you like, or the
forest.
Yes. And activates the golden flame. So she is about this whole piece of bringing inner masculine and feminine together, and also this dance of the elements, as I say, of the Id and the Pingala, the working with the elements of the feminine elements of water and earth, and the masculine elements of air and fire, and making sure that they are in balance, because the balance has got to be there for that, well, it's even like we need masculine and feminine to birth a child, right? So in anything, so even in a project, to birth a project, you need to have those two aspects in balance. And so she's just beautiful.
She is beautiful. Master Rose 3.
Would you like to hear her words? I'll get a book if you'd
Absolutely.
like to hear.
I would love to hear her words. And everyone, if you have any questions for Sandy, allow those questions to come through.
Okay.
So
okay. Here she goes. Right?
Yeah.
So she says, the golden flame. I am the wisdom keeper. All is known in the now. In my beauty, the tears and joys of mankind. I am the sacred fire and the golden flame. So she is really calling us to activate this golden flame on the crown. This is where these new earth energies will be activating for us, and helping us to upshift and vision a different future, because we come as visionaries, you know, visionaries and vision holders. It's not same old, same old.
No.
And we can't battle with the current paradigm. We have to future forward and be able to say, this is what is going to be life sustaining, life enhancing for us as in our way of having home. And there's, you know, there's obviously such a calling to community now too. It's like understanding we are not meant to journey solo. We are not meant to be out of relationship with those around us. We co-create, we collaborate.
How perfect. How perfect is that card? So perfect.
That's what made me smile.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. The third element, right? From masculine and feminine, the new.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. We have a question here. When will the new deck be published? The
true question is when I get it done.
Right.
And it, you know, but my sense is, and my plan, my vision,
right,
is that it will be done for winter solstice.
Oh, fantastic.
So you know, it's all of the rose codes are here and active, and much of the writing has been done, but it's a small bespoke deck of 18 cards. Yeah. And so 5 elementals and 13 celestials, but they are magic.
Oh, so excited. Well, we'll have to call you in for another interview around that time, maybe on my podcast, Sandy, to announce the deck.
Yeah.
I'd love that. I would love that.
I mean, it will be perfect actually for those working with land and with buildings, to be able to balance the energies with the with grid. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
We have something. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is a separate deck. Wonderful. Thank you, Sandy. This is from Lauren Rose in France. Yeah. Beautiful. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap up? We'll wait. I don't know if anything came through the Q&A. No. With much gratitude, Renee.
No.
Renee Jane is here. Yeah, we've got people from England, Paris, Hawaii. Nice. Hey, that's fantastic. From Canada, New Jersey, Black Forest, Germany. Oh, beautiful. That's a magical place, the Black Forest.
Mm.
What is the name of the rose behind you? She's got a lot of
in the deck, she is Heart Star 2. She is the gold ray of wisdom. She's from the threefold flame of the heart. I can't think just now. She's a rose that I photographed at the Mottisfont Rose Garden.
Where was she from? Yeah.
Yeah, she was from the Mottisfont Rose Garden.
It's a beautiful rose.
Oh God. Do you know when something just drops out? It's like normally I'd have been
like hundreds of roses that you photographed, maybe probably more, right? So
yeah, no, it's not going to come just yet. If it does, I'll let you know.
But in the deck, you're saying it's the Heart Star 2 or something?
Heart Star 2.
Yeah.
The 3 Heart Star roses are the pink ray of love, the gold ray of wisdom, and the blue ray of power. They are the higher heart chakra roses, and they rarely call us again. It's like a balancing of the flames.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
We have another comment here. This is so inspiring and affirming. And another question, Sandy, for you.
Mhm.
By coincidence, I'm going on a dragon course this week. Can you tell me more about the rose dragons?
The rose dragons are a specific frequency of dragons that said that they had communicated to me through the rose and through the heart of the rose, because that is my frequency. And so they said that they had come from the 5D heart of Gaia, and they had come as wisdom carriers for this time. They're not mainstream dragon energies at all. They really are specific frequency. I don't know. I was just stood minding my own business at Borough Mump. I had no idea. But the interesting thing was that within 2 or 3 weeks of that, I'd got a job in Sedona. And the Sedona house was fabulous. But they also had a plot, a piece of land, a virgin piece of land, that had an energy current that was linking it to the house. And when I tuned in on the piece of land, there was a rose dragon node activating on the parcel of land, and it was just like, really? Yeah. It's no, I haven't got the piece here. So,
but isn't that just beautiful that there's just this intricate web that's all illuminating and lighting up, and it's connected to you, your story, as well as your clients, and it's like a treasure hunt too.
I think that rose is called Anne Boleyn.
Okay.
I think it's Anne Boleyn.
Okay. It's a stunning rose behind you. Yeah.
Thank you. They do vary. I do change them around. But she feels like that feels like a hug. She feels like
yeah.
But these are the big silk. They come as silk scarves, but you can stretch them onto canvases, and they're 1 meter square.
You sell them as well? These printed. Oh, so they're in your shop as well.
They're in my shop. They're as square scarves. So you buy them as a piece, as a silk scarf, so you can wear them like a wrap, like a silk hug, a rose hug. Yeah. Or you can stretch them on canvas, or you can just pin them up. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Yeah. Zoe just shared the shop as well.
Yeah.
Sandy, what else are you up to? I'm sure many of the listeners, audience members who will want to know, what else are you up to? What do you offer? How can people get in touch with you?
The Rose Alchemy site really is mostly about my work with the roses and the development of the roses. There is I've opened up a rose sanctuary actually on Facebook, where I'll be doing a free meditation, a healing meditation every month. And other than that, most of the work I've got a very little tight, my little rose heart group, a tight heart group that I'll beta running my the Celestial Rose Dragons on a 13-week adventure with me. 13-week course that's running from equinox to solstice.
So exciting.
Yeah, but it's there'll be new pieces coming out for 2024. I'm incubating stuff right now. If anybody's interested in seeing some more of the stories of the consults, that's really on sandyhumby.com. That's mostly the stories of consults and so on. I have been so consumed by the new work that's been coming through that the website isn't as up to date as it might be, and I've got a website rewrite coming for winter solstice too.
Okay, so that's going to be a renewing time. Amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone, Zoe, as well as our helper soul, Emmanuel, has shared all of Sandy's links. So you can access her through Facebook, through There's even LinkedIn, her email, and her two websites, sandyhumby.com and rosealchemy.com.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, I offer one-to-one sessions that are an hour long, that, you know, we can work together on exploring what's running at the moment, what perhaps wants to be revealed. And I also do the space alchemy consults, as I say, mostly online now, but it, you know,
yeah. And what I love hearing is that a lot of your clients are also architects, or architects working with the clients that have hired you. So this is a really great, I mean, Sandy's a fantastic asset, a resource rather, to help pave the way for smooth project planning. To hire someone like Sandy on a project will support you in preventing permit issues, real estate, right, issues, selling, buying, and also really understanding, is this the place for me for the long run, or is there another story that needs to be resolved on this property or land? So like essential things like teachers, I think that should be part of architecture schools. And that's what the new earth architecture is and will look like, for sure.
Yeah. It's holistic, isn't it? It's holistic. It's whole person.
Yeah. 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 It's holistic and extremely efficient, in my opinion. It's efficient. You're not going through all these plans, right? And, you know, road bumps, construction blocks. And I'm not saying it's all rainbows and butterflies and that we won't go through challenges during construction, but yeah, illumination, right? And learning and growth. A more conscious approach is always going to support a more resilient sanctuary, let's say.
Yeah. And you know, this is the soul needs that sanctuary. We live in a very frenetic and very busy, a lot of busyness. The soul needs that resource to come back within. You know, it's like the Armenian mystic Gurdjieff spoke about the wheel and the hub. You know, coming back into the hub of the wheel, we get caught into activity. And yet, if we come back into the hub of the wheel, we have that nanosecond where we can make a different choice. So.
Oh, so inspiring. Everybody's saying thank you. Wonderful discussion. A lot of aha moments for me. Warm greetings from Slovakia, Middle Europe. Thank you, Sandy. It has been inspiring and timely for me to reconnect with all that the roses give us, from Claire or Clare. Wonderful, amazing, inspiring. Thank you from Rita. Aloha from Hawaii to you all, from John again. Thank you from Orlando, Florida, land of the Seminole and Timucua, or I don't know if I said that correctly. Yeah. From Catherine. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Well, everyone, thank you again for joining live. You are all such an incredible group. I feel all your energy. And Sandy, thank you again. It's been so inspiring. Before we close off, tomorrow we are on live. It is our last interview with Olga Naiman. She is an interior designer. She did a lot of staging and styling, rather, for various magazines in New York. And then she went through her own dark night of the soul and transformations and got into the Kabbalah and all different kinds of healing modalities. And she's now bridging that knowledge into her interior design work. And she will share her wisdom and knowledge on how to make a home that's really homey. She uses the word homey, as well as helps to, similar to Sandy's work, helps to create a vessel that manifests your best future self. So That's Olga, and you've got to join for the final closing party tomorrow, and we all look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful. And Sandy, once again, it's such an honor and blessing to have you in the circle. Thanks for thanks to the roses, the rose dragons, and all your beautiful work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.